The Swordmaster class made its debut in the 4th installment of the Fire Emblem series, Genealogy of the Holy War, and it has been in almost every game since. Though the class is cool, it has some problems that hinder its viability, so today, I'm going to be explaining why Swordmasters are never good. As I stated previously, the Swordmaster class first appeared in Genealogy of the Holy War. Before then, all sword classes promoted into heroes. Hero. Myrmidons didn't exist until Genealogy, where the hero class was instead replaced by Swordmaster and Forest. The Swordmaster class, from then on, would be a staple for the series, being in every Fire Emblem game since. Swordmasters primarily focus on their speed and luck stats, while generally being weak in HP, defense, and resistance. This can make using them pretty risky and prime targets for the enemy. You would generally want to put them in any terrain that gives an avoid boost, but even then, luck may not be on your side, causing a reset and maybe even a permanent death. What makes Swordmasters even worse is their lack of 1-2 range options. In most games, these options don't exist or are extremely rare and in limited amounts. Genealogy, Thracia, and Radiant Dawn all have good ranged swords, even being able to buy them from shops. But it doesn't come without its drawbacks, be it low accuracy, high weight, or again, being very rare. Another issue that comes to mind is the problem of being footlocked. Most footlock units can't compare to the high movement mounted units, so what often happens is that the foot units lag behind the mounted units. You can play it strategically by leaving your foot units behind, while your mounted units clear the objective, so that when the next objective appears, your foot units can get some action, while your mounted units move back. Upon promotion, the Swordmasters gain a certain skill that is really good in some games, but absolutely terrible in other games, that being Astra. A staple skill for Swordmasters, debuting yet again in Genealogy. With Astra, a unit is able to deal 5 consecutive blows in a round of combat, and if you're lucky, you have a chance to attack up to 12 times. Astra is based on a skill percent activation rate in Genealogy and Thracia, but goes down to a half skill percent chance in other entries. Astra is at its strongest in FE4 and 5, before disappearing in the GBA games. Path of Radiance is when it makes its long-awaited return, but not without its drawbacks. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn is when Astra's skill percent activation goes back down to a skill divided by half activation. This wouldn't be so bad if it didn't have yet another drawback. In Fire Emblem 4 and 5, when Astra activates, you start to nuke enemies as you do full damage. This is why Astra is at its strongest in these games. Path of Radiance decides to cut the damage you do in half, making characters like Path of Radiance Mia do very little damage when it activates. Radiant Dawn realizes this is a bad move, so they bump it back to doing full damage while keeping the half skill activation chance, which is fair. But Radiant Dawn Astra can't do critical hits and has a chance to miss, while Path of Radiance Astra can do critical hits while also having a chance to occasionally miss. This doesn't really matter as Radiant Dawn Astra is still powerful enough that it doesn't even need critical hits. Astra in both Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn require enough skill capacity, 20 in Path of Radiance and 30 in Radiant Dawn. To get Astra or any other mastery skill in Path of Radiance, you have to attain an occult scroll. These scrolls are very rare, only 4 of them exist in one playthrough, so you have to think carefully as to who you want to give it to. Most of the mastery skills are just plain bad, Astra included. There are only a couple that are truly worth it. Radiant Dawn's skill system is much simpler. Mastery skills are gained by just simply reaching a 3rd tier class. The maximum skill capacity in Radiant Dawn is 60, most mastery skills being 30, while others are 10, maybe 5 or 15. Having multiple mastery skills on one unit is quite impossible without the use of hacking. Other skills such as Adept probably can't be stacked together. Astra goes missing again for 2 more games, then comes back for Awakening and Fates. In Awakening and Fates, Astra goes back to being like Path of Radiance Astra, which is fair for these games as it can be stacked with other offensive skills. The most recent entry, 3 Houses, has Astra become a combat art instead of a skill. Astra in 3 Houses isn't very good. Instead of it randomly activating by skill, you now have to manually activate it from the combat arts menu. It costs a whole 9 weapon durability. And it also decreases your hit by 10. But wait, there's more. Each attack only does 30% instead of the usual 50, on top of it already occasionally missing. Oh, and it's also locked to Swordmaster. You know, the class with 5 movement. This combat art is generally considered the worst combat art in the game. While Swordmasters are pretty good in 3 houses, Astra just isn't worth it. Astra isn't the only thing Swordmasters get. They also get a crit bonus. Upon promotion, Swordmasters specifically from the Binding Blade get a whopping plus 30 to their crit rate. Combine this with a Killing Edge or a Wodow, and that's a 60 to 70% chance to get a critical hit. That's not even counting support bonuses, and if we were to count them, then you would get the famous 102 crit. Since plus 30 crit was way too much to the point of being broken, they had to bump it down to plus 15. This made the viability of Swordmasters go down pretty significantly. That's not to say you can't use Swordmasters in FE7 and 8, but now you're less likely to use them. It then dropped further to a plus 10 chance in Radiant Dawn, Fates, and 3 houses. Swordfare is another skill that was introduced in the modern FE games, giving plus 5 damage when using a sword. It's pretty decent, although the other fares are probably a little better. Swordmasters aren't the most optimal class to use, but I'm not saying you can't use them. Use whoever you want to use, I won't judge. Okay, well maybe a little bit, but though Swordmasters are frail and have to be in terrain most of the time, they can still dish out damage and even be good boss killers. It just takes a lot of investment, time, patience, and luck, more specifically luck. And with that, I'm done with the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and give me your social security number.